자, 짜투리 시간을 이용해서 원서 읽기. 오늘 호밀밭의 파수꾼, 저번에 이어서 챕터 2 읽을 건데, 호밀밭의 파수꾼이 너무 궁금해서 위키백과에서 찾아보니까 1951년 작품이고 10대들의 갈등과 방황에 대해서 아주 1인칭 시점에서 주인공인 홀든 콜필드의 시점에서 그 아이가 16살이 되었을 때 15살 때 체험했던 3일간의 여행, 학교에서 퇴학당하고 집이 있는 뉴욕에 가서 지내는 3일 동안의 그 여정과 사건들을 얘기를 했다고 하는데, 여전히 그 10대들의 감정을 잘 비유와 풍자로서 표현을 했다고 해서 지금도 문제작으로 회자된다고 하니까 뭐 대충 알았지만 잘 몰랐었는데 그런 내용을 알고 읽으면 좋겠습니다. 자, Chapter 2. They each had their own room and all. They were both around 70 years old, or even more than that. They got a bang out of things, though, in a half-assed way. Of 스타트가 안 좋은데. They each had their own room and all. They were both around 70 years old, and even more than that. They got a bang out of things, though in a half-assed way, of course. I know that sounds mean to say, but I don't mean it. I don't mean it. I don't mean it mean. But I don't mean it. But I don't mean it mean. 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 I don't mean it mean. I just mean that I used to think about old Spencer quite a lot. And if you thought about him too much, you wondered what the heck he was still living for. I mean, he was all stooped over, and he had a very terrible posture. And in class, whenever he dropped a piece of chalk at the blackboard, some guy in the first row, always had to get up and pick it up and hand it to him. That's awful, in my opinion. But if you thought about him just enough and not too much, you could figure it out that he wasn't doing too bad for himself. For instance, one Sunday, when some other guys and I were over there for hot chocolate, he showed us this old made of Navajo blanket that he and Mrs. Spencer bought off some Indian in Yellowstone Park. You could tell old Spencer got a big bang out of buying it. That's what I mean. You take somebody old as hell, like old Spencer, and they can get a big bang out of buying a blanket. His door was open, but I sort of knocked on it anyway, just to be polite and all. I could see where he was sitting. He was sitting in a big leather chair, all wrapped up in the blanket I just told you about. He looked over at me when I knocked. "Who's that?" he yelled. "Caulfield? Caulfield? Come in, boy." He was always yelling outside the class. It got on your nerves sometimes. It got on your nerves sometimes. The minute I went in, I was sort of sorry I'd come. He was reading the Atlantic Monthly, and there were pills and medicine all over the place. All over the place. And everything smelled like a Vicks nose drops. It was pretty depressing. I'm not too crazy about sick people. Anyway, what made it even more depressing, old Spencer had on this very sad, ratty old bathrobe that he was probably born in or something. I don't much like to see old guys in their pajamas and bathrobes anyway. Their bumpy old chests are always showing, and their legs, old guys' legs, at beaches and places, always look so white and unhairy. "Hello, sir," I said. "I got your note. Thanks a lot." He'd written me this note asking me to stop by and say goodbye before vacation started, on account of I wasn't coming back. "You didn't have to do all that. I'd have some come over to say goodbye anyway." 아니구나. You didn't have to do all that. I'd have come over to say goodbye. Anyway, "Have a seat there, boy," old Spencer said. He meant He meant the bed. I sat down on it. How's your grip, sir? Boy, if I felt any better, I'd have to send for the doctor, old Spencer said. Then knocked him out. He started chuckling like a madman. Then he finally straightened himself out and said, Why aren't you down at the game? I thought that this was the day of the big game. It is, I was. Only I just got back from New York with the fencing team, I said. Boy, his bed was like a rock. He started getting serious as hell. I knew he would. So, you are leaving us, he said. Yes, sir. I guess I am. He started getting into his this nodding routine. You never saw anybody nod as much in your life as old Spencer did. You never knew you never knew if he was nodding a lot because he was thinking at all, or just because he was a nice old guy that didn't know his ass from his elbow. What did Dr. Thummer say to you, boy? What did Dr. Thummer say to you, boy? I understand you had quite a little chat. Yes, we did. We really did. I was in his office for around 2 hours, I guess. What did he say to you? Oh, well, about life being a game and all, and how you should play according to the rules. He was pretty nice about it. I mean, he didn't hit the ceiling or anything. He just kept talking about life being a game and all. You know, life is a game, boy. Life is a game that one plays according to the rules. Yes, sir. I know it is. I know it. Game. My ass. Some game. If you get on the side where all the hot shots are, then it's a game. All right. I will admit that. But if you get on the other side, where there aren't any hot shots, then what's a game about it? Nothing. No game. Has Dr. Thummer written to your parents yet? Old Spencer asked me. He said he was going to write them Monday. Have you, have you yourself communicated with them? No, sir. I haven't communicated with them because I'll probably see them Wednesday night when I get home. And how do you think they will take the news? Well, they will be pretty irritated about it. I said, they really will. This is about the first school I've gone to. I shook my head. I shake my head quite a lot. Boy, I said, I also say, boy, quite a lot. Part, partly because I have a lousy voc- vocabulary and partly because I act quite young for my age sometimes. I was 16 then, and I am 17 now, and sometimes I act like I'm about 13. It's really ironical because I'm 6 foot 2 and I'm 6 foot 2.5 and I have gray hair. I really do. The one side of my head, the right side, is full of billions of gray hairs. I've had them ever since I was a kid. And yet I still act sometimes like I was only about 12. Everybody says that, especially my father. It's partly true too. It's partly true too, but it isn't all true. People always think something's all true. I don't give a damn except that I get bored sometimes when people tell me to act my age. Sometimes I act a lot older than I am. I really do. But people never notice it. People never notice anything. Old Spencer started nodding again. He also started picking his nose. He made out like he was only pinching it, but he was really getting the old thumb right in there. I guess he thought it was all right to do because it was only me that was in the room. I didn't care, except that It's pretty disgusting to watch somebody pick their nose. Then he said, I had the privilege of meeting your mother and dad when they had their little chat with Dr. Thummer some weeks ago. They are grand people. Yes, they are. They are very nice. Grand. There's a word I really hate. It's a funny. It's a funny. I could a poke every time I hear it. Then all of a sudden, old Spencer looked like he had something very good, something sharp as a tack. To say to me, to say to me, he sat up more in his chair and sort of moved around. It was a false alarm. It was a false alarm too. It was a false alarm though. All he did was lift the Atlantic Monthly off his lap and try to chuck it on the bed next to me. He missed. It was only about 2 inches away, but he missed anyway. I got up and picked it up and put it down on the bed. All of a sudden, then, I wanted to get the hell out of the room. I could feel a terrific lecture coming on. I didn't mind the idea so much, but I didn't feel like being lectured to. And the smell of Vic's nose drops and the look at old Spencer in his pajamas and the bathrobe all at the same time. I really didn't. It started all right. Oh, what's the matter with you, boy? Old Spencer said. He said it pretty tough, too, for him. How many subjects did you carry this term? 5, sir. 5. And how many are you failing in? 4. I moved my ass a little bit on the bed. It was the hardest bed I ever sat on. I passed the English all right, I said, because I had all that uh bull for bullful and Lord Randall my son stuff when I was at the Wharton School. I mean, I didn't have to do any work in English at all hardly except write compositions once in a while. He wasn't even listening. He hardly ever listened to you when you said something. I flunked you in I flunked you in history because you knew absolutely nothing. I know that, sir. I I flunked you in history because you knew absolutely nothing. I know that, sir, boy. I know it. You couldn't help it. Absolutely nothing, he said over again. That's just something that drives me crazy. When people say something twice that way, after you admit it the first time, then he said it 3 times. But absolutely nothing. I doubt it very much. If you opened your textbook even once the whole term, did you? Tell the truth, boy. When I sort of glanced through it a couple of times, I told him. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. He was mad about history. You glanced through it, eh? He said, very sarcastic. Your exam paper is over there on top of my chi- chiffonier, on top of the pile. Bring it here, please. It was a very dirty trick, but I went over and brought it over to him. I didn't have any alternative or anything. Then I sat down on his cement bed again. Boy, you can't imagine how sorry I was getting that other stopped by to say goodbye to him. He started handling my exam paper like it was a third or something. We studied the Egyptians from November 4th to December 2nd. He said, you choose to write about them for the optional essay question. Would you care to hear what you had to say? No, sir, not very much, I said. He read it anyway, though. You can't stop a teacher when they want to do something. They just do it. The Egyptians were an ancient race of Caucasian, residing in one of the northern sections of Africa. The latter, as we all know, is the largest continent in the Eastern Hemisphere. I had to sit there and listen to that crap. It certainly was a dirty trick. The Egyptians are extremely interesting to us today for various reasons. Modern science would still like to know that the secret ingredient were that the Egyptians used when they wrapped up dead people so that their faces would not rot for in, innumerable centuries. This interesting riddle is still quite a challenge to modern science in the 20th century. He stopped the reading and put my paper down. I was beginning to sort of hate him. Your essay, shall we say, ends there, he said in this very sarcastic voice. You wouldn't think such an old guy would be so sarcastic at all. However, you dropped me a little note at the bottom of the page, he said. I know I did, I said. I said it very fast because I wanted to stop him before he started reading that out loud, but you couldn't stop him. He was hot as a firecracker. Dear Mr. Spencer, he read out loud. That is all I know about the Egyptians. I can't seem to get very interested in them, although your lectures are very interesting. It is all right with me if you flunk me, though, as I am flunking everything else except English anyway. Respectively, yours, Holden Caulfield. Holden Caulfield. He put my goddamn paper down then. He put my goddamn paper down then and looked at me like he'd just beat the hell out of me in ping pong or something. I don't think I'll ever forgive him for reading me that crap out loud. I wouldn't I wouldn't be held- I wouldn't be read it out loud to him if he'd written it. I really wouldn't. In the first place, I'd only written that damn note so that he wouldn't feel too bad about flunking me. Do you blame me for flunking you, boy? He said. No, sir, I certainly don't. I said. I wished to have he'd stop calling me boy all the time. He tried chalking my exam paper on the bed when he was through with it. Only he missed again, naturally. I had to get up again and pick it up and put it on top of the Atlantic Monthly. It was boring to do that every 2 minutes. What would you have done in my place? He said. Tell the truth, boy. Well, you could see he really felt pretty lousy about plucking me. So I shut the bull for a while. I told him I was a real moron. I was a real moron, and all that stuff. I told him how I would have done exactly the same thing if I'd been in his place, and how most people didn't appreciate how dull it is being a teacher. The kind of stuff, the old bull. The funny thing is, though, I was sort of thinking of something else while I shot the bull. I live in New York, and I was thinking about the lagoon in Central Park, down near Central Park South. I was wondering if it would be frozen over when I got home, and if it was, where did the ducks go? I was wondering where the ducks went when the lagoon got all icy and frozen over. I wonder if some guy came in a truck and took them away to a Jew or something, or if they just flew away. I'm lucky though. I mean, I could shot the old bull to old Spencer and think about those ducks at the same time. It's funny. You don't have to think too hard when you talk to a teacher. All of a sudden, though, he interrupted me while I was shooting the bull. He was always interrupting me. How do you feel about all this, boy? I'd be very interested to know. very interested. You mean about my plucking out of a pansy and all? You mean about my plunking out of a pansy and all? I said. I sort of wished he'd cover up his bumpy chest. It wasn't such a beautiful view. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you also had some difficulty at the Wooden School and at Elkton's Hills. He didn't say just a sarcastic, but sort of nasty too. I didn't have too much difficulty. I didn't have too much difficulty at Elkton's Hills. I told him. I didn't exactly flink out of anything. I just quit, sort of. Why, may I ask? Why? Oh, well, it's a long story, sir. I mean, it's pretty complicated. I didn't feel like going into the whole thing with him. He wouldn't have understood it anyway. It wasn't up his alley at all. One of the biggest reasons I left Acton Hills was because I was surrounded by phonies. That's all. They were coming in the goddamn window. For instance, they had this headmaster, Mr. Haas. That was the phoniest bastard I ever met in my life. 10 times worse than old Thumber. One Sundays, for instance, old Haas went around shaking hands with everybody's parents when they drove up to school. He'd be charming as hell and all, except if some boy had a little old funny looking parents. You should have seen the way he did with my roommate's parent. I mean, if a boy's mother was sort of a fat or corny looking or something, and if somebody's father was one of those guys that wear those suits with very big shoulders and corny black and white shoes, then old Hans would just shake hands with them and give them a funny smile, and then he'd go talk for maybe a half an hour with somebody else's parents. I can't stand that stuff. It drives me crazy. It makes me so depressed. I go crazy. I hated that goddamn Elton Hills. Old Spencer asked me something then, but I didn't hear him. I was thinking about old Haas. What, sir? I said. Do you have any particular columns about the living pansy? Oh, I have a few columns. All right, sure, but not too many. Not yet, anyway. I guess it hasn't really hit me yet. It takes things a while to hit me. All I'm doing right now is thinking about going home Wednesday. I'm a moron. Do you feel absolutely no concern for your future, boy? Oh, I feel some concern for my future. All right. Sure, I do. I thought about it for a minute, but not too much. I guess not too much, I guess. You will, old Spencer said. You will, boy. You will when it's too late. Very depressing. I guess I will, I said. I'd like to put some sense in, I'd like to put some sense in that. I'd like to put some I'd like to put some sense in that head of yours, boy. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you if I can. He really was too. You could see that. But it was just that he were too much on opposite sides of the pole. That's all. I know you are, sir, I said. Thanks a lot. No kidding. I appreciate it. I really do. I got up from the bed then. Boy, I couldn't but sat there another 10 minutes to save my life. The thing is, though, I have to get going now. I have quite a bit of equipment at the gym. I have to get to take home with me. I really do. He looked up at me and started nodding again. With this very serious look on his face, I felt sorry as hell for him all of a sudden. But I just couldn't hang around there any longer. The way we were on opposite sides of the pole, and the way we kept missing the showing and that creepy smell of Vicks nose drops all over the place. Look, sir, don't worry about me, I said. I mean it. I'll be all right. I'm just going through a phase right now. Everybody goes through phases and all, don't they? I don't know, boy. I don't know. I hate it when somebody answers that way. Sure. They do, I said. I mean it, sir. Please don't worry about me. I sort of put my hand on his shoulder. Okay, I said. Wouldn't you like a cup of hot chocolate before you go? Mrs. Spencer would be. I would, I really would. But the thing is, I have to get going. I have to go right to the gym. Thanks, though. Thanks a lot, sir. Then he shook hands, and all that crap. It made me feel sad as hell, though. I'll drop you a line, sir. Take care of your grip now. Goodbye, boy. After I shut the door and started back to the living room, he yelled something at me, but I couldn't exactly hear him. I'm pretty sure he yelled good luck at me. I hope to hell not. I'd never yell good luck at anybody. It sounds terrible when you think about it. 와우. 예. 또 짜투리 시간에 또 읽어보도록 하겠습니다.